Good evening and welcome. This is Open Mic. This right here. I'm your host, Reese Waters. As always, we want to educate you, we want to inspire you, and of course, we want to entertain you, or you would leave. And we do so by bringing in voices from him, her, they, everybody from all around the community. Hopefully, you learn a little bit of history and catch up on some different people's perspective. Here's what's coming up on the show. Tonight, I'm opening the mic to representatives from a Prince George's County college program helping black men navigate the hurdles depressing their graduation rates to learn more about their amazing work.
We saw men of color, the numbers of men of color going to college was increasing, but their graduation rate was declining. Prince George's wanted to be ahead of the curve and really start making a program to help that graduation rate increase as the enrollment increased as well.
In today's greatest hit, Howard University honors the legacy of the late Chadwick Boseman by naming the department where he once studied after him. To paraphrase a line from his most famous film, Wakanda Forever in academia.
I love you, Howard. Howard forever.
Finally, I'm dropping the mic on the Olympic Games and all that controversy surrounding them. You thought I was going to say all that COVID, didn't you? Well, that too. But first, let's take a look at what's happening in the D.C. area and beyond. Welcome to Open Mic. The Republican Governors Association threw out MyPillow CEO and Trump BFF Mike Lindell after he showed up to its spring conference in Tennessee.
Wow. What? This is the most attack on our country, and I'm telling you, ever.
How can you pass up an opportunity to add to that reel? Mike's influence must have expired with Trump's presidency. No amount of cheesy TV commercials or nonsensical audio clips can help him now. What was his plan? Just show up and say, "Do you know who my friend is?" That never works with me and Topper either. Now, I hope he wasn't planning to sneak in. You can't crash a party with a poor man's Tom Selleck mustache. That thing draws way too much attention. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe his invitation went to Scott Baio. But what actually happened is the association heard that Lindell promised to challenge Georgia Governor Brian Kemp and Arizona Governor Doug Ducey about their state's election results, and they said, yeah, you try that mess from the parking lot. Mike Lindell is currently getting sued for $1.3 billion for his efforts to overturn the election, and he can't even drop Trump's name to get into a conference. I think it's time for some new friends. In non-political news, a McDonald's franchise in Altamont, Illinois is giving out free iPhones to new hires who meet certain criteria after 6 months of employment. I'm loving it. Wages start at $13 an hour at that particular McDonald's, and the minimum wage in Illinois is $11 an hour. A new phone would eat up a good chunk of an employee's check. This is a win. If I were choosing between fast food jobs at this McDonald's or a nearby Burger King, I'm smelling like fried grease at the place that's throwing in a free phone. Go on and set my ringtone, ba-da-da-ba-ba. You can't have it your way on a prepaid Cricket phone. Other fast food spots better step their games up, though. Meanwhile, Virginia residents who live along I-66 are complaining about loud street racing noises, and they say the problem has gotten noticeably worse over the last few months.
You can expect to hear some noises living by the interstate, but residents right next to I-66 say street racing has become such a problem, the loud noises are waking them up in the middle of the night.
Virginia tops the nation in bad drivers, but according to an Insurify report, they also have the most street racing violations in the country. I know, it's probably because they're bad at it and they get caught. Who knew the Commonwealth turned into a suburban Fast and Furious after dark? They better stop it and let their neighbors sleep, though. They have already complained on the Nextdoor app. A barrage of sternly worded letters are next. And then the Homeowners Association will be forced to act. And nobody wants that. Virginia wasn't all that exciting before the pandemic, so I get that folks are bored, but this ain't it. It's dangerous for the people who live nearby. Go find an empty parking lot and do donuts like a respectable degenerate. Leave I-66 alone so other Virginians can get a good night's sleep. Now on Open Mic, you know we love to share the spotlight with people doing great things in the D.C. area, so we want to highlight them in our segment called Turn the Mic Up. Today we're focusing on the good people leading a Prince George's community college program helping black men fulfill their dreams of getting a college degree. The program started after they saw an increase in enrollment to the school, but a decrease in graduation rates. Here's part of that conversation.
Why do you feel like that trend existed where the numbers were increasing but the graduation rates were going down? What did y'all chalk that up to?
To be honest with you, the reasons range. Sometimes it's finances, right? To continue going to college is not inexpensive, right? Sometimes you may be first generation college where you're not getting that proper guidance from home to help you navigate that full process. So I would chalk it up to that. Normally it's a financial commitment. It's a financial resource you may not have access to, or you may not have that superior focus at home of helping you get through those 4 years. So I think that's what ends up happening to a lot of college students.
Take me through like the core tenets of the DMSI program.
All right, man, I love it. And let me just also add, Dr. Charlene Dukes, who's the president who helped me build this program, had to be fearless. This position did not exist when I got to the institution. It had never existed before. She had to go find the money, find the salary, find the programming dollars. So I have to give that to her because she just retired, and I want to give Dr. Charlene Dukes her roses. But we created the pillars of DMSI back then. We knew we wanted to help the students in 3 areas. Number one, help them with their academic achievement. Whatever they're coming there to achieve, a certificate, their nursing program, hospitality, their certain major, help them academically. Number two, help them get ready with their business or their career. We don't want to just get them ready for employment where they also may want to think about building companies. And so we help them with that. And then lastly, and this is a big thing, Reese, is manhood development, leadership development. Several of my men are coming out of homes where the father may not be present. And so that this program lends itself to being that surrogate dad, that surrogate OG, that surrogate big brother. So those are our 3 tenets: academic achievement, career and entrepreneurship readiness, and manhood development.
All right, well, one of the products of all those core tenets is Mr. Julian Flemings, who's also with us. So Julian, tell me what the DMSI program has done for you.
For me, it's done 2 things. It has changed my mindset for achieving my goals. When I came in, I was a little bit unconfident in myself, wasn't unsure of myself, and wasn't really focused and disciplined enough to achieve some of my goals, like my academic goals, like my goals outside of PG. As far as for me, I want to transfer to Morehouse College and major in business administration with a concentration in finance.
Now, Julian, where are you from? I assume you're from the county?
Yeah, I'm from Prince George's County, Dr. Henry A. Wise High School.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. You a young buck, one of the new schools, didn't you?
Yeah, class of 2020.
When I was coming up, wasn't no Wise when I was coming up. So you one of the new products. Well, that's beautiful because there's also going to be a lot of young men that are either interested in trying to take the route that you took. Maybe they feel unsure. Maybe they don't necessarily know that they can make it happen. So what is it that you would say to other young men who may be watching this to give them some encouragement that they can follow the path that you set for?
I would say just do it. Just step out on faith and just do it. Just don't sit there and hold back on it. Just go ahead and go full force for it. It's a great program. It's helped me in so many ways. There's times throughout the day where I may say a quote by Brian several times a day. I may say it to a family member. So I would say just do it. Just don't hold off. If you hold off too far, you're not gonna go and you're not gonna go for it.
Speaking of colleges, today's greatest hit comes from Howard University honoring their very own legend. And later, I'll drop the mic on the Olympic Games and the growing movement to stop them from happening. Whether or not the world's top athletes are getting in peak physical condition for nothing remains to be seen. But I ain't risking it. I'm staying unconditioned. It's time for today's greatest hit, where I share the best thing I've seen today, and it comes from DC's own Howard University. Howard is renaming its College of Fine Arts after the late actor, director, writer, and producer Chadwick Boseman, who graduated from the university in 2000 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in directing. Before his death in 2020, Boseman was working behind the scenes to reestablish Howard's College of Fine Arts and make it a state-of-the-art facility with a healthy endowment and strong leadership.
To be honest, it was something that Chad was involved in up to the point shortly before his death. They were having conversations about a new building for the College of Fine Arts.
Bozeman was also instrumental in the selection of Felicia Rashad as the new dean of the College of Fine Arts. It was a full circle moment as Rashad is a graduate of Howard and also served as a mentor for Bozeman. Now, technically, this news first broke on Bozeman's Twitter feed, which surprised me because I was not ready to see a tweet from the great beyond. Thankfully, I read it instead of reaching for holy water, and it made my day. The future of Howard University's College of Fine Arts looks incredibly bright thanks to one last heroic act from the man who immortalized the role of the Black Panther. Now, we want to see your greatest hits. Send them to me on social media. I'm at Reese Waters on all my social media platforms, or email rwaters@wusa9.com. Now, we continue our celebration of a Black icon. And today in history, it was on this day, May 27th in 1942, that Doris Dory Miller was awarded the Navy Cross for his service during the Pearl Harbor attack. He was the first African American to receive this honor, the second highest decoration for valor in combat. Enlisting in the Navy in 1939, Miller was a mess attendant, one of the few jobs open to black sailors in the then segregated Navy. Serving on board the West Virginia, he had just finished serving breakfast and was collecting laundry when the Japanese attacked. Going above deck to help however he could, he was told to help with loading an anti-aircraft, but ended up manning it himself, bringing down 2 enemy planes. He was recognized personally by Admiral Nimitz, commander of the Chief of the Pacific Fleet, for gallantry and extraordinary courage. Sadly, Dory was lost in battle the next year when the ship he was serving on was sunk by torpedo. But his courage and dignity live on in the history books and serve as an example for young seamen to this day. In fact, in January 2020, the Navy announced that a Gerald R. Ford-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier would be named after Miller. So thank you for your service and example, Dory Miller. And thank you guys for listening. This has been today's Moment in History. Now, after the break, we'll respond to comments from viewers in a game I like to call Mute or Block. Expect anything, the good, the bad, and especially the reckless. It's a very special moment because we have a brand new segment called Mute or Block. You guys know we love to share our stage with all kinds of people, but not everybody is like Brian and Julian from earlier in the show. Some people don't have great things to say, and we want to highlight those crazy things and those crazy people in this segment. So to help us out, Leon Scott is here with me. He's a local comedian and a writer on this here show. Leon, how you doing, man?
Great, man. How you doing, Reese?
I'm fantastic. Now, here are the rules. We will say mute if the opinion is just simply annoying. Block if it's so insufferable we never want to hear from that person again. But we also might say retweet this comment if we think it is respectable and we want to co-sign that. I may even throw in a like. Leon, are you ready?
Yeah, sounds perfect.
All right, let's start with Bissall, who says, unpopular opinion, milk goes before cereal. Now, in a vacuum, I don't hate this. I don't hate this in a vacuum. You could throw in milk before cereal. I don't think this is that crazy. However, this happened on social media where everybody loves to say the next weird thing or to jump out the window and be the one like, oh, I'm kooky and I'm crazy. So in that vein, I'm gonna mute this person.
Yeah, I agree. I would mute them too because I feel like it's not an aggressively hard take, but I also think that if you pour your cereal in too fast when the milk's already in there, you're gonna clean up some milk. So therefore, that's mute worthy.
Exactly. That's a good point. And how much milk do you put in the beginning? Like,
yeah, I know.
Come on, you measure your milk based on the level of cereal.
Yeah, I know. Unless you just a milk enthusiast and just want just sprinkle in your cereal and just really want to just drink some milk.
And
I don't know.
And there should be no milk enthusiasts in 2020. The next one is from Julie, who says, you won't find true love, better to settle for average. Now, here's the thing about this. I think that this is very practical. But I think this is a very creative way in order to take shots at a lot of people that have not only followed this advice, but are thinking about following this advice. Unfortunately, I cannot retweet something like this because my wife would get upset. So I would say screenshot and text it to your friend group.
Did this freeze up?
That's where I go with that. That freeze up? Oh, no. Leon doesn't want to respond because he don't want his old lady to get him in trouble. That's all that is. Leon pretending like he having technical difficulties. See, he is mature. He is mature. I appreciate it, Leon. If you see something you want us to mute, block, or retweet, send it in. I'm at Reese Waters on all social media accounts, or email me at rwaters@wsa9.com. But don't hit up Leon. His relationship's strong. You see how he played that off. Coming up, a worldwide movement is growing against one of the globe's biggest events. Here are my thoughts in tonight's Mic Drop. All right, it is mic drop time. At the end of every show, you know I like to get my thoughts on one particular topic that I'm burning on. And the 2020 Olympics, postponed due to the pandemic, are set to begin July 23rd in Tokyo. The games last 2 weeks with upwards of 100,000 spectators, along with the world's top athletes, are expected to attend. At least that's the plan. With less than 2 months to go before the curtain goes up, the CDC, in conjunction with the State Department, has issued a no travel advisory for Japan, warning against going there due to high levels of COVID. Now, for any of you planning on going there anytime soon, they recommend that you visit the U.S. Embassy in Japan's website for more information. It is a level 4 travel health notice, which for the record is the highest possible. It is serious over there COVID-wise. While Simone Biles and her fellow athletes are busy preparing to give the world that work, most of Japan, Tokyo included, is under a state of emergency. They're in their 4th wave, and the vaccinations are going slowly. Just 4% of the 126 million people who live there are fully covered, and they have over 700,000 reported cases. World Health experts are sounding the alarm. New Zealand's professor of public health said it would be absurd to hold the games, and no less than 83% of Japan's population agrees. The worry is new variants being brought in and further spread of the virus going out. It's so bad that a major newspaper, the Asahi Shimbun, published an op-ed asking the prime minister to call off the games. Now, you would think that under these conditions, the International Olympic Committee and the government of Japan would bite the bullet and call for another postponement. Wouldn't want this becoming a super spreader event, right? Wrong, wrong. Y'all know how this works by now. We made it through a whole college basketball season with more stops and starts than an 85 Dodge. John Coates, vice president of IOC, which is in charge of the games, said that they will go on, even if the medical experts advised against it. He feels confident that they can hold the games safely and securely, health-wise, state of emergency or not. And he said this from his home base in Australia, safe and secure. And the Japanese government is all in with them as well. Listen, do we honestly think now is a good time to be holding these games? The powers that be seem to think so. Our athletes are training away, while COVID is in Japan doing the same. Here in the U.S., we've begun turning the tide on COVID, but worldwide we have a long ways to go. Is the potential risk worth the reward? I honestly don't know. I don't know if anybody should be competing, but I do know that not giving this virus the respect it deserves can and probably will hurt us all in the long run. In any event, we'll all be watching safely and securely in our homes, while hoping our athletes can return and do the same. That's it for Open Mic. You guys have a beautiful, wonderful 23 and a half hours. I'll see you tomorrow.